What is going on, everybody? Today we are going to be taking a look at something that I just recently saw that I think is pretty wild. Like, I think it's so in front of mainstream media, but they don't even know about it when it comes to hair systems. That, I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy. Like, I saw this last night and it blew my mind. So today we're going to be talking about the new Netflix special, History of Swear Words, and it's got Nicolas Cage in it. If you know anything about Nicolas Cage, you know that Nicolas Cage has had a goofy and wacky career, and his hair is perhaps even weirder. This dude has been seen sporting so many different styles, some good, some bad, some ugly, some crazy, all over the place. So we're going to be doing a brief kind of history through the timeline of Nicolas Cage, and then finally getting to like what he's doing now with what I believe are hair systems. But real quick, guys, this video is sponsored by Lord Hair. Make sure that if you are looking to purchase a hair system that you consider Lord Hair, check out my link in the description below and in the pinned comment to give them a try and get an exclusive discount on any of your hair systems that you purchase. So let's get back into the video. So Nicolas Cage got his start in the acting world in the 1980s. Now, this look right here is from a movie called Valley Girl, which is him sporting his real hair when he was much younger than he is today. This is going on 40 years ago, just under 40 years ago. Looks great, looks supernatural. Now, as we continue on through Nicolas Cage's career into the late 80s, we see that he is starting to mature as a man, starting to lose a little bit of hair. He's starting to get some wispiness right here. Now, if we take a look at this film right here, we can see a little bit closer that Nicolas Cage's hair is starting to change. We see that his hairline is starting to change. It looks like there is actually some recession up front in the frontal area right here. His hair is getting a little bit wispier when compared to this style right here. There's definitely less density through this frontal region of his hair. So we definitely see that he's exhibiting some lossage of hair on the top of his head. Still lots of volume though, still looks fairly good. I think most of us would be happy if we had that much. Now, by the mid 90s, Nicolas Cage's hair loss had really taken full effect, and he began to show some signs of being what a Norwood 3, 4, 5-ish, and actually suffering some hair loss. This is a movie from 1995 called Kiss of Death, where we see that Nicolas Cage is wearing a shorter look. And if we look at that, right, let's go back, let's actually look at this. We can see that there is some actual lightness right here. We see there's recession over here, meaning that he is actually losing his hair, right? So we can see that time is taking its toll on Nicolas Cage, and he is sporting a much more mature looks like a man in his 30s or 40s, and a hairline that matches right there. Doesn't look bad by any means, but if you look here, you can see that his hair is starting to get much wispier. They're starting to miniaturize, classic signs of someone who is experiencing male pattern baldness. Now, in 1997, a movie came out that kind of really cemented Nicolas Cage as being a goofy, kind of crazy character with always having crazy hair. Now, that movie is called Con Air. All right, so we can see now in these clips right here that Nicolas Cage is sporting a very long hairstyle, and it's awkwardly long for someone who has as thin as hair as him. It's very thin and wispy right here, but somehow still quite long. Just watching these clips makes me laugh. He's just so funny. So this right here is Nicolas Cage starting to actually wear extensions. By this time, I mean, Nicolas Cage's hair has changed so much from what he started at. Clear signs of Norwood recession, but extremely long hair. Now, he would go into a series of movies throughout the 2000s that really started to look a little bit different, as if he was doing some different stuff with his hair. And here we see that he seems to be having a lot of hair loss, that it's getting thin, that it's getting wispy, all signs of hair loss. And then we take a look at 2004 Nicolas Cage in the movie Ghost Rider. We see that there is some obvious density in his frontal and top of his head, right? So that begs the question, what was going on? Look at how much density is right here inside of his hair. That was not present when we were just looking at Con Air. Something changed. So one could say maybe it was plugs, maybe it was a hair system, who knows, right? I don't know, but I know that something changed right here. Now, oddly enough, if we keep on going forward, we're looking at 2007 Nicolas Cage. This is a screen grab from a movie called Next, where he plays a future-telling man from Las Vegas, and he apparently is sporting a very interesting entertainment style haircut right here. I don't know what this is, but anyways, we can see that there is, it seems like more recession on his head from 2004 in Ghost Rider, and it seems like the quality of his hair has changed, as if it's getting weaker, once again miniaturizing. It starts to look a little bit more like it did in Con Air. My guess is this is his hair with extensions right here, and maybe some extra product to make it look thicker or fuller. Now, we know, of course, being in this industry, that it may have been hair plugs, it may have been having a hair transplant surgery, it might have been a hair system, toupee, something like this right here. Now, this screen grab right here is from 2019. This is Nicolas Cage in the movie Running with the Devil. So if we look at this right here, if we zoom in really far, I know that we all do this on hairlines, right? We see that he has very short hair right here that's miniaturizing, but still an extremely thick and full hairline that's recessed quite heavily. Now, I don't know, once again, whether this is hair plugs or this is a hair transplant or whatever, but one could definitely say that this could be a lace hair system. It absolutely could be one of those that he could have been using that's cut to his shape. After all, one of the ways to mask hair systems are to cut them to a shape that is more natural recession, right? So now we can see this is a series that came out on Netflix just a couple of days ago called The History of Swearing. We can see Nicolas Cage sporting a much different hairline. So I want to go back and take a look at this once again. Now, look how straight and, let's say, perfect this hairline is. Remind you of anything? Kind of reminds me of a certain look. Now, what I believe is that he's now wearing a hair system. I think that this right here is far too perfect. The density has changed once again. The quality of the hair has changed once again. I mean, he looks great, don't get me wrong. This is something that really suits him, and I think it is a great look for him. But I do believe that if we zoom in and we really examine this, I think it can be seen that this is a hair system. I am so confident that it is. I really am. I believe it is. It's just way too perfect for Nicolas Cage. And if you look at it from every single angle with that very microscopic, like analysis, it really does look like a hair system. Like the way that it's kind of a dark scalp, but kind of dotted. To me, this says like he's wearing a very thin thin skin unit. That's just my opinion, but when looked at from close up like this right here, it really gives that impression, which would also explain the slightly push forward look of the bangs to hide some of that hair. Now we look at the actual quality of the hair. Here he seems to have a little bit more of that like Indian Remy style hair that we get a lot in hair systems. Before, it was much wispier. Now if we go back and we look once again at his hair right here, we see there's an obvious difference in quality. It's very different. I mean, the hairline is 100% changed. 100% changed, no doubt about it. It looks as if all of this has been filled in and he's sporting a straighter hairline, although it is a little bit higher than the 4 inches, which in my impression really gives a natural look. In fact, I would actually say it actually has some slight recession built into this hair system as well. We can see it's kind of covering it over, but I'm 100% sure this is a hair system. 100%. I even showed my girlfriend and she was pretty convinced too. Anyways, guys, what do you think? How does this look on Nicolas Cage? Do you think it's a hair system? Do you think it's his natural hair? Do you think he's getting Rogaine? Do you think he's using finasteride? Do you think it's a hair transplant? Do you think it's hair plugs? Tell me. Let me know in the comments below. Once again, thank you to Lord Hair for sponsoring this video, and we will see you all soon.